You searched best AI tools to make money in 2026 and got rankings that disagree. Here's what none of them say. The money was never in the tool. A tool is the cheap, swappable part. What pays is the mechanism you attach it to, whether you can reach it, and whether you can trust it unwatched. An MIT report in 2025 found about 95% of company AI projects returned nothing. Same tools, different outcomes. So instead of ranking apps, let's find the one way AI could pay for you and a test for any tool. Why a tool has no money tier. Picture two people who buy the exact same AI subscription this week. One of them turns it into income. The other quietly cancels in a month. The tool didn't change between them. What changed was the mechanism each one pointed it at. One aimed it at a service clients already paid for. The other aimed it at a vague hope the app would find money on its own. Same subscription, two opposite results. The ranking never mentions the wiring because the wiring is your job, not the app's. That single fact is what almost every ranking hides from you. A tier list tells you a tool is an S or an F, as if the value lives inside the app itself. It doesn't. Value only shows up when a tool is wired into a real way of getting paid. That same MIT report from 2025 is blunt about it. Across roughly 95% of company AI projects, there was no measurable return at all. Only about 5% drove real revenue. And the winners weren't the teams with the flashiest tools. They were the ones who bought from specialists and wired the tool into an actual workflow. That approach worked about 67% of the time, against roughly a third for the teams building it blind. Read that line again, because it's the whole argument in miniature. The tool wasn't the variable, the wiring was. And here's why that should matter to you. A tool can be copied by anyone with a credit card in about 5 minutes. But the slow, specific work of wiring it into a business that already pays for the result is the part almost nobody actually bothers to do. The finding rests on 150 interviews, hundreds of survey responses, and hundreds of real deployments. So it isn't a hunch. Here's how I'd read this. The tool is the cheap part. The expensive part is the mechanism, your access to it, and whether you can trust the thing without standing over it. So drop the tiers. Run 3 questions on any tool instead. 1. Which money mechanism would this actually serve for me? 2. Do I have real access to that mechanism, meaning clients, billable hours, an audience, or a product? 3. Is it reliable enough to trust unwatched? Or does it still need me hovering? Keep those 3 questions. They'll outlast every tool on every list, because there are really only 4 ways an AI tool turns into money, and the first one sits closest to cash. Mechanism 1. Get paid to set it up. The most direct way is also the oldest. Someone pays you to set the tool up for them. Plenty of businesses know AI can help and have zero time to figure out which lever to pull, so they hire the person who will pull it. Think of someone who automates invoice chasing for a dozen local firms, or someone who builds a quiet lead routing flow for an agency that's drowning in messages. The work isn't glamorous, and that's exactly why it pays. The jobs that pay best here are the ones everyone else finds too fiddly or too boring to touch. The unsexy plumbing a business will happily pay a stranger to handle, so they never have to think about it again. You wire up an automation, connect their messy stack of apps, and hand them something that just runs. Tools like Zapier, or the open source one called N8N, exist for exactly this, and you don't need to write code to use them. Now here's the catch that decides whether this pays you. Your access is other people's businesses, so you need a real way to reach owners who'll hand over money. If you have that, the tool barely matters, and the reliability barely matters, because you're the human being paid to babysit it. Where the money leaks is the gap between a one-off and a habit. Build a single automation, collect once, and you're right back to hunting the next stranger. The operators who actually do well treat the setup as a front door. Then they charge a monthly fee to maintain it, monitor it, and fix it when something upstream changes. A 2026 market write-up describes that exact pattern. Build the workflow, then bill every month to keep it breathing. That recurring fee is the line between a one-time gig and an actual small business. One pays your rent this month. The other pays it next month too, without you chasing anyone. There's a second leak, and it's about who you are to the buyer. A 2026 freelance rate index puts generalists somewhere around $50 to $80 an hour. Specialists, the people who do this for one regulated industry, with the compliance scars to prove it, sit closer to $150 to $250. Niching down like that can add roughly 40 to 130% to your rate, and compliance experience stacks more on top of that. Meanwhile, some reports say AI has already dragged generalist rates down by about a third. So the lesson isn't learn the tool. The lesson is to own a narrow, annoying problem that nobody else wants to touch. Sell the setup, then sell the upkeep, and go as niche as you can stand, because the generalist version is a slow race to the bottom. Mechanism 2. Buy back billable hours. Picture a consultant at 9 at night, still reformatting a report a client already paid for. The second mechanism is using AI to buy back the hours you already sell. This is the one most people grab first, and it's exactly where the thinking goes soft. Honestly, here's the trap. Saving time is not the same as making money. A saved hour only becomes income if it was a billable hour, or if you immediately pour it into work that earns. Trim 20 minutes off a chore nobody pays you for, and you've bought a longer lunch, not a raise. It feels like progress, and your bank balance never once notices. The hours have to come back as money, or they were never really saved. So the access question is sharp and simple. Do you bill for your time or sell what your time produces? If yes, this mechanism is real, and it can genuinely compound. But reliability is where it gets dangerous. The fantasy is an agent that just does the work while you sleep. We're not there. On the OS World benchmark, which tests agents on real computer tasks, the best ones finished only about a third of them in 2025. That's climbing fast from the year before, so the direction is real and worth watching. Still, it means most of the time, something quietly breaks. A 2025 study found even the strongest agents take 3 to 4 times more steps than a person would to reach the same place. So the move is to give it the work you'd cheerfully proofread anyway. A draft you were going to rewrite. A transcript you were going to skim. The research firm Gartner expects more than 40% of company agent projects to be scrapped by 2027. So hand the tool the boring, checkable work. The first draft, the rough transcript, the summary you were going to skim anyway. Don't hand it the thing you can't afford to get wrong and won't actually inspect, which leaves you a real question, not a tier. Of the hours you'd love to hand off, how many are truly billable? And how many would you still have to check by hand? Mechanism 3. Amplify output you already sell. This third one only works if you're already selling something. That's the uncomfortable part, because amplification is the mechanism the hype adores most. The idea is to use AI to make more of whatever already earns. More content, more outreach, more sales conversations, faster and at higher volume. 11 Labs can voice a whole video, and a chat assistant can draft 50 outreach messages before your coffee's cold. But amplification is just multiplication, and that's the whole catch. Multiply a real audience or a working sales pipeline, and the numbers get genuinely fun. Multiply nothing, and you get nothing, only faster. The math is blunt, and it doesn't care how clever the tool is. This is where people quietly confuse famous with profitable. ChatGPT reached around 700 million weekly users in 2025, up from roughly half that earlier in the year. That popularity is dazzling, and it is not by itself your money mechanism. A tool the whole planet uses hands you no edge unless you aim it at something only you can sell. Everyone holds the same megaphone now, so the megaphone stopped being the edge. What's rare is having something real to point it at, an audience that trusts you, a list that opens your emails, a pipeline with actual humans in it. Aim a brilliant tool at none of those, and brilliant changes nothing. The signal that this is actually working is paying customers, not output volume. The same company reported about 5 million paying business users in 2025, and those are workflows that earn, not accounts that merely exist. So before you automate your content, ask the blunt question: was anyone buying that content in the first place? If yes, then amplify, but carefully. Because volume without quality just trains your audience to scroll past you quicker. If no, a louder megaphone aimed at an empty room is still an empty room. Amplify 0, and you still get zero. Mechanism 4, build something and sell it. Someone with no coding background builds a small app over a weekend and sells it to a business for real money. That's the fourth mechanism, and it's the most seductive of the lot. Build a thing once, sell it again and again. Tools like Lovable and Cursor have made this genuinely possible for people who can't write code. The build is no longer the hard part. A weekend and a sharp idea can get you something that genuinely works. And that, quietly, is the trap. When building gets cheap, building stops being where the value sits. The cost just moves to two places nobody paints on a thumbnail: distribution and maintenance. Selling the thing, supporting the people who bought it, and keeping it alive when it breaks, that's the actual job. Nobody ever bought an app because it was easy to make. They buy it because it solves something, and because someone answers when it breaks. That second part, the answering, is where most weekend apps quietly die. You can spin up something genuinely impressive in 2 days, but the customer who emails you at midnight because it stopped working does not care how fast you built it, and that ongoing, deeply unglamorous support is the thing that separates a real product from a pretty screenshot. Build is easy now. Selling never was. Reliability shows up here too in a sneaky way. Gartner estimates only around 130 of the thousands of so-called agentic vendors are the real thing, and the rest is ordinary software wearing a costume. A lot of the products that get abandoned are the ones that demoed beautifully and then fell apart in a paying customer's hands. So yes, this mechanism is real, but it rewards the deeply unglamorous half. Your access here is a way to reach buyers plus the patience to support them after the sale. The future flag is an honest one. The tools are improving quickly, and a year from now, the building part gets easier still. But easier to build and easy to sell and maintain are not the same sentence, and the second one is where the money actually lives. The 3-question test, run once. So here are the 3 questions together, the way you'd actually run them on a tool. First, which of the 4 mechanisms would this serve for me? Selling a setup, buying back billable hours, amplifying what I already sell, or building a product? Second, do I genuinely have access to that mechanism right now? Third, is the tool reliable enough to trust at that job? Or does it still need me checking its work? Picture a freelance marketer who's tempted by a slick new agent that promises to run entire campaigns on autopilot. Question 1. The mechanism. She'd be amplifying output she already sells, so that's clear enough. Question 2. Access. Does she have clients to amplify for? Yes, she's got a handful. So access checks out. Question 3 is where it bites down. Can she let the agent send client-facing work with nobody watching? Given that the best agents still finish only about a third of real tasks, the honest answer is not yet. So her move isn't to buy the agent and pray. It's to use it for the checkable middle, the drafts, the sorting, the first passes, and keep her hands on anything a client will ever see. That's a real decision, reached in about 60 seconds, with no tier list anywhere in sight. Notice what the test actually did. It never asked which tool is best. It asked what she can reach and what she can trust. Those 2 things barely show up on any ranking, and they're the only 2 that decide whether you actually get paid. A tier list can't see your client list, and it can't see whether you trust the thing on a Friday afternoon. Run those same 3 questions on the one tool you were about to pay for this month. Pick one, test it, ignore the rest. Here's the move, and it's far smaller than the rankings make it look. Pick one mechanism, the single one you can actually reach this month, not 4. 1. Then take the tool you keep hearing about and run the 3 questions on it. If it fits a mechanism within your reach and you can trust it where it counts, commit to a 2-week test against 1 real paid task. If it doesn't fit, cross it off and feel nothing about it. That's not falling behind. collecting tools you'll never open is what falling behind actually looks like. The useful signal is this. The tool you pick this year is half obsolete by next year, but the question you ask stays exactly the same. Mechanism, access, reliability. Famous won't pay you, and a cheap monthly subscription won't pay you either. A real mechanism you can reach, served by a tool you can trust, is the only thing that does. So tell me in the comments which of the 4 mechanisms is genuinely within your reach right now. That's the one worth your next 2 weeks. Everything else on the list can wait its turn.